Good morning, everyone. It is now 11:02. So I am calling this meeting of the Lawrence Alliance for Education to order, and just want to reiterate that in accordance with Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, extending certain measures that were adopted during the COVID-19 state of emergency, all board members are participating remotely via Zoom technology. We have made live streaming available of this meeting, and it was posted and noticed through the LPS website. And we have also allowed for public comment for this emergency meeting through the one of the ways we've been collecting public comment for the past couple of years, which is through the LAE email address, which is info@lawrenceallianceforeducation.org. Before we get started with the agenda, I would ask that we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you all. So we have scheduled this emergency meeting to discuss one agenda item, which is the mask requirement, or sort of what the mask mandate will be for students and staff in Lawrence Public Schools buildings beginning tomorrow. So as you all know, we received and the public received a letter from the city of Lawrence announcing that the current mask requirement and mask mandate would be lifted beginning tomorrow, March 4th, 2022. And, you know, as an LAE and thanks to the city, we had been in conversation through the superintendent with the city, understanding that, you know, the city was considering and weighing out consideration of the mask mandate. So we were prepared. And our plan had always been to use our next LAE meeting, which is scheduled for next Wednesday at 6 p.m., to allow for more robust conversation about, you know, any potential policy of mask wearing in the public schools. And so that was our plan. It continues to be our plan. And we encourage anyone who has an opinion on the matter to either email LAE members, which again, the address is info@lawrenceallianceforeducation.org. All emails received by the meeting will be forwarded to LAE members for their review and also included as part of the public record. But we're also encouraging people to come. We have public comment available at all of those monthly meetings in person for members of the public who'd like to express opinion. And so the purpose of this emergency meeting is because the citywide mask mandate ordinance ends beginning tomorrow, we are meeting to make a decision on what happens between tomorrow and next week when the LAE will vote to sort of make a more permanent determination on the matter. So for today, that is the agenda item that we'll be discussing. And, you know, for the board members, and just to make it clear that, you know, sort of where I as chair am coming from, I am recommending that we maintain, and actually it's not even maintain, to be clear, the Lawrence Public Schools has actually not had an explicit policy around mask wearing because we've been following both the city and state mask mandates when they were in effect. As probably most of you or all of you know, the state mandate ended February 28th. And I think for all of the good reasons that were outlined in the letter from the city has decided to end the mandate, you know, for the city beginning tomorrow. So, but I as chair, like I said, my number one priority is ensuring that whatever decision we make for our public schools includes enough time and input from key stakeholders. And so what I as chair am recommending to this board is that we, as the focusing on the Lawrence Public Schools specifically, have a mask mandate that is through next Friday, the 11th of March. That gives us time, not only as a LAE, but for the public to communicate their perspectives and opinions to this board, and if they so desire, attend the LAE meeting at 6 p.m. next Wednesday, the 9th of March, to be able to express their opinions before this board takes a more sort of permanent vote in terms of what we're going to do for the rest of the year. So again, that's only my particular perspective and what I would sort of be bringing forward to this board. But today, what I would like to do is primarily open it up to see what kind of information this board would like to be able to have available in advance of and during our meeting next Wednesday, so that we're making as informed a decision as possible that takes into consideration the opinions of our key stakeholders, and also ensures that we're also reviewing just data, and have opinions as needed from professionals in public health, our Department of Public Health, and things like that. So that's the purpose of today's meeting. I do want to pause for a second and also extend a welcome to Mayor DePena, who, as you know, I announced, I think at the last meeting, was officially appointed to the board, and we're really excited to have him on this board. And I know, Mayor, this is your first official meeting. It's not typically like this in an emergency way, but we just at least wanted to pause and say welcome. We're really, really excited to have you on this board. It just adds to, our ability to make sure that we're working together, in the best spirit to support our students, our staff, our families in the district. So we're just really excited to have you here, as part of this board. So before, again, at any point, I think the board is clear on what my position would be, but I'd like to open it to the mayor first to see if he has anything he'd like to add or say at this time.
Yes, everybody hear me? Can you hear us?
I can't hear you. I don't know if others can.
I can hear him.
Okay, everybody, okay.
Give me 1 second. Sorry, I think you know what it is. You know why I can't hear you? Because my volume was down. Sorry, Mayor, go ahead.
Okay, I want to say thank you. If you're happy, I'm more happy because that's my first meeting. It's an emergency meeting, but it's my first meeting. I don't know for what reason, but only God knows everything. But I want to introduce everybody in the table because I have I had a planning and I have my staff office in this meeting because I think it's very important, about what decision the school department need take it. If you want to take it today or Wednesday, I think it's a better idea. Take it Wednesday because you have more time. Everybody have more time for take a decision because that's it's very important decision, not easy decision. And I suppose take a decision in the next meeting Wednesday. But anyway, it's not my decision. My decision. I take a decision about the number, about how many people sick every day, and my staff information. But let me introduce everybody in the table.
Hi, everyone. Mike Romano, Director for the Board of Health and Inspectional Services.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Nestor Castillo, Communication Director of the Mayor's Office.
Frank Bonet, Chief of Staff.
Hi, good morning. Giovanni Martis, Director of Constituent Services.
Hi, Martha Velez, Director of Health and Human Services for the City of Lawrence.
Okay, everybody know me? Round the page.
Yeah. We all know you, Mayor. So.
Okay, go ahead, continue.
No, thank you so much, and I appreciate all of you being here. And again, I just want to reiterate, and I think the mayor was saying this as well, where we completely understand the city's decision, and I think it's just we've been very, very happy to follow the city's lead on this. It makes a lot of sense given the data that was cited in the letter that was made publicly available, why the city is making its decision. I just think for our board, given that our purview is only the public schools, and I know we've heard from families as you can imagine, have differing opinions given that some students are not yet eligible for vaccination. And as the letter that the city issued also talked about differing rates of vaccination between sort of general population and some of our younger residents, we thought that it would be important to take up the matter again here. And so just to be clear, what I'm sort of proposing is that in order to give enough time for stakeholders to make their voices heard, either through letters they email to us or attendance in person at the meeting, I'm proposing that we put forward a requirement that all students and staff wear a mask through next Friday, March 11th. And to be clear, if the board votes next Wednesday that masks are not required or optional, the board can decide to begin that effective immediately. So I'm only sort of recommending next Friday as a little buffer, but the board can decide next Wednesday to end it, beginning the next school day. So I'll pause here and open it up. Just any general questions, comments from board members. Again, that's my perspective and only my perspective. So I want to open it up to any board members who may have questions and comments at this time. And you can just unmute at this point and share any comments or questions.
I will share that. I am in agreement with that. It will give us a little bit of a buffer to see what the results of vacation week is going to be in our student population. We coming back from our winter vacation back in December, it was, the impact of that was significant in terms of the amount of COVID that was detected afterwards. But I think if we are able to determine that the amount of test and stay or the amount of positive cases that we detect in the next 2 weeks after the vacation week is not significant, then maybe we can determine based on that result. So I feel safer waiting these 2 weeks, or voting on Wednesday before making the determination, like you said.
Thank you. Pat, I saw you off mute too.
Yes, thank you, Ventura. I agree also, extending this mandate until Wednesday, until we meet, is a very good idea. My concern is at this point, how do we get the information out to families and to staff to let them know that they have the opportunity to weigh in during public participation on Wednesday? I think it's incumbent upon us at this point to make sure that that information is disseminated either through the school system, newspaper. I mean, this is a very important meeting, and we need to gather the information from constituents. So, but I agree with holding it off until we meet on the 9th. Thank you.
Thank you, Noemi or Mayor. I know you shared a few comments earlier on, but if there's anything else you'd like to add, Mayor or Noemi at this time.
I think everybody in the room and in the meeting know what is my decision. For the city is not continue, mandatory mask again, and my recommendation for Wednesday is the same. Don't continue to use because if the city nobody use a mask, the kids only use mask in the school time. That's not have any impact, because kids continue to use masks only in the school. When kids stay in the weekend and after school don't use mask, that's not have a sense, But what do you say?
Yeah, no, I just want to reiterate, I think the mayor was very mindful of, the big situation, which is citywide. There's lots of little communities and lots of personal decisions that have to be made. The fact of the matter is the numbers have significantly dropped, cutting in half week after week since January 1st. And the cases are just trickling in on a very minimal level. So I think it's our responsibility and the mayor's responsibility to use medical data to make the right decision, which is what we've done. Now, every community is different. There's certain personal preferences, and that's up to you, obviously, to make your decision as a community. But we're confident that it is appropriate at this time to not wear masks. We made a commitment to use medical data. This wasn't just a guess, and we have had very high numbers, but those numbers are at a level where we feel comfortable that, again, people can use their personal preference. There was an advisory where we're still encouraging people to get vaccinated. That's very important. We encourage people personally, if they're around vulnerable populations or around unvaccinated people, to consider wearing a mask. But at this point, again, it's a personal preference, and we're at safe levels not to wear masks.
I second that, and I think that the memo came out with the mayor's signature stating that really it is about people making choices. We are at a medical numbers where it is safe to not wear your mask after this date, and we've seen the testing, and we even took into consideration the school vacation and what the numbers have been for testing and coming back with positives. So I really do believe that that is a good sign for us. And I think that stats show that during spring and summer, COVID goes way down. It really is fall and winter where we see a lot. We saw it last year, we saw it the year before where numbers spiked. And I think that parents and people have to make that choice. And if you have a chronic disease, it is your choice to either wear a mask or not wear a mask. If you're immune deficiency, it's your choice to wear a mask in your mask. I got interviewed yesterday, and I'm going to say what I said to them. The city and the state and the federal government has done everything that we could. We've made it very accessible for people to test. We've made it very accessible for people to get vaccinated. We bring vaccinations to their homes. It is now a personal choice of where you want to go from here. We're not going to stop doing what we're doing, but it is a choice now of the residents to do this.
Yeah, thank you all. And again, just to be clear, like I said, I personally am supportive. I understand everything that was in the city's letter. And so my proposal for us to have for the schools through next Friday is not in any way meant to contradict what the city's putting out. I think it's just out of, sort of deference to making sure that if folks have an opinion and want to add that as part of this decision, and making sure that we have a little time, as I think Mike, you mentioned, we do want to make sure we think about all the different circumstances in our schools as it relates to medically fragile students or other sort of combinations, that we're just giving the schools and families and staff a little bit of time, which is really just less than a week, to be able to come back and sort of raise those up once again for us to make a final determination. Sorry, I think there was one more hand there. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to add, the importance of moving forward with the mask mandate right now, the authorization of the mask mandate, and one of the factors that I think is very important to take into consideration is the unemployment rates in the city of Lawrence. And according to the most recent report about unemployment rates, out of the labor force that we have, 35,678 residents working, we have 2,638 residents that are unemployed. That's going to be 7.4% of unemployment rate in the city of Lawrence, which is one of the highest in Massachusetts. And I know that education and the labor market is going to be always in conflict, because you work with a lot of teachers and the students at the same time, grouped together. But at the same time, the sentiment right now is that we need to move on. And when we wear a mask, we get the impression that we are still in trouble. And so people, feel like they should continue, staying home and, not doing what they got to do, to improve our economic situation in the city of Lawrence.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So at this time, unless there are other questions or thoughts, I would entertain a motion to have a policy of all students and staff wearing masks within LPS public school buildings and district facilities through Friday, March 11th, 2022. Do I have a motion?
Ventura, I do have a question because I was trying to figure out again what we're voting for. Because to me, I feel, based on the data that has been presented and also, Pat's concern about informing the parents, I think that at this point, it should be a matter of choice, not mandatory. People that would like to continue wearing the mask, they should be allowed to wear the mask. They should be accessible at the school to have the mask. But at the same time, I also feel the same way as the mayor's office. So the vote that we have in right now is only to keep the mandated until we have the board meeting. Is that the, and then?
Yeah, what I'm proposing is that the mandate or we have a policy, because again, this board has not adopted a policy because we've been following the state and city, that we adopt a policy only through next Friday. And again, we have a meeting next Wednesday, and it's very much a possibility that the board will vote to make it an optional, policy beginning immediately after the vote is taken. That's fine, and that could happen. I just think that given some of the feedback we've heard and sort of the pace of this, I want to make sure that we're also at least creating that opportunity for key stakeholders to also share their opinion on this matter. And again, for the schools to make sure that they're able to, just in the next few days, think through any potential just variables that are unique to schools. And I give an example of like medically fragile students in classes, just to make sure that we're clear on sort of the implications. So I am personally not trying to extend or put mask mandates like into the future, again, because I agree that the science probably doesn't require that, but I do want to be deferential to at least allowing key stakeholders, staff, families, others to weigh in before we make a more final decision in 6 days' time. So the motion that I would be asking for, recommending, is that we, again, have a mask policy through next Friday that gives this time, or this board time, to meet and vote on it next Wednesday, the 9th of March. If that makes sense.
Ventura, may I ask a question?
Please, and I see in the mayor's room in the office there's a question also. Pat, go ahead.
Why not just have your motion go through March 9th rather than the 14th? And then when we make our vote, it is what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm comfortable with that. I always like to just a little buffer for implementation, but if you know what I mean, like just the 2 days. But if folks want to do that, yeah, I'm fine with that as well. But let's go to the mayor. Well, I see a hand raised.
Yeah, Ventura, this is Frank Bonet, Chief of Staff. One question, and maybe, I am a grandfather, a kid in school, so I have difference of opinions of what the city may or may not do. But this morning we had I had a meeting with the Merrimack Valley Regional Transportation Authority as a designee of the mayor. They're still debating that, whether they'll have or don't have masks, but they fall under some guidelines of the federal government, or actually some of the things of the federal government. So the TSA is still having mandatory masks on their buses. And my question here is this. I know you want time to allow stakeholders an opportunity to be heard about this particular change of policy. How will parents and stakeholders get that opportunity? How will they communicate with the board of where they see, because, we're talking about children here, right? And so if you give children the opportunity, the option to come to school or not, they're going to say, I don't want to go to school, right? So we're still dealing with minds that are, but parents are more important in this process. And how are you allow them to communicate with the board on that within the next 2 weeks? Because that's what you're looking for, right? 2 weeks to allow the stakeholders to communicate with the board members?
Yeah, actually, I guess I'm anticipating not quite 2 weeks. I mean, the original motion that I was seeking, but happy to entertain thoughts, is just having a policy through next Friday. So it's just a little bit over a week. We envision a couple of ways. There are probably 3 ways. Number one is we do have this email account that people have been using over the last several years. So there's info@lawrenceallianceforeducation.org. We've actually started getting letters already there, which is great. So that would be one way. The second is the meeting itself next week at 6 p.m. at St. Lawrence East. People can come and speak at the meeting itself. So that would be a second way. And then the third way, which I know has also started happening, is you can reach out directly to members of the Lawrence Alliance for Education, and contact information is on the website. And like I said, I know some parents especially have already started doing that, and that makes its way back to, you know, members. If a board member gets any comments, written comments, that does get forwarded to all LAE members and included as part of the public record. So those are the three ways that I would encourage any stakeholder that has an opinion on the matter to submit those before next week's meeting. Again, the meeting is next Wednesday, March 9th at 6 p.m. So if you'd like your comments considered or a part of that, we would need to either have them received by then, either through the LAE website, through direct outreach to board members, or by you physically coming to the meeting to share your comments there.
Ventura, I'll add that we will also communicate directly with families and staff members, both opportunities to weigh in for next Wednesday as well.
Thanks. And Superintendent, I think one of the questions, I think it was Pat who raised it, was whatever decision we take here today in the next several minutes, I'm just confirming because I know you and I have connected, you'll be prepared to mobilize information to families through all of our distribution channels, just to make sure that they're clear on both what the expectation is for students and staff beginning tomorrow, and then also around the meeting and how folks can submit, again, their perspective, correct?
That's right. So we will, immediately following this decision, we will communicate with families as well as staff, and then offer and invite them to join for either in-person commentary and or the emails that you've mentioned for their additional comments and opinions around this.
So in
Maria,
addition,
go ahead.
thank you. In addition to the public comment, which would be very important in terms of making a decision and family participation, I think in similar fashion to the city, like Mike Armano and Martha Valdez mentioned, would we be able to have access to information in terms of the percentage of cases or the level of cases that are reporting at schools at this point, in comparison to, you know, kind of like a school level results versus city level results?
Yeah, we're happy also to give you next week latest data with respect to positivity rates in the school.
That's
yes.
Great. Yeah, I mean, I think that would be great, and that would support, just like in the city supports their decision, it would support ours. So.
Yeah, I'm also wondering, you know, and Mike, I don't want to put you on the spot. It might be helpful to have you at this meeting in case we or the public, you know, has questions. And I think it's just, I want to reiterate how important it is and has been for us to be in close contact with you all, you know, on the city side, and that's been really, really helpful. And so there may be questions that emerge, even though we're talking about the schools. Obviously, we're in the context of the city. So as questions come up, I could envision having you and other members of the team available to just be really helpful for not only the board, but for members of the public as well.
Yeah, that's no problem. If you want to send me an invite, I'll be there. The only thing that could rip me away is the mayor. So.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. And then the only final thing, again, which I don't think is a huge issue, but Noemi, you know, I heard you say, why don't we just, if we're going to take this, why don't we just have a policy through next Wednesday night and begin to implement, you know, sort of immediately. My sort of more conservative maybe approach was just like, let's give us a 2-day buffer. I'm flexible. I really don't have a super strong opinion on this. I don't know if board members do, but I would be happy to entertain a motion to have a, you know, a mask wearing policy either through next March 9th, Wednesday at the end of the meeting, or through Friday. I'm really flexible on that. Is there a strong opinion, Noemi, through you or others for that?
No, but the option that you mentioned, giving 2 additional days is not unreasonable, because as we communicate with students and families and everybody, the more that, we're gonna need some time to communicate. So that's fine. While also knowing that some of the students and parents and staff that will be eager to not use the mask anymore, they might be doing it immediately after the
Right,
board meeting.
right.
So that's
Yeah,
the reason why we need to have some flexibility on that too.
Yep. Okay. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to have a policy of all students, staff, visitors wearing masks within LPS buildings through March 11th, 2022, or earlier if the board decides that at their meeting next Wednesday. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, it's open for discussion. I see a hand in the mayor's office. Please go ahead, Mayor.
Hi, it's Martha Velez. I'm just gonna let you know that we will be attending the meeting alongside the mayor, and we'll also be bringing rapid test home kits so that we could
Thank you.
let parents know that if they want to get tested, or if their kids are feeling sick, they can feel free to come by at the city, or we'll give them there, but then we'll have some in the city and they can come to our center and pick it up.
That's great.
That is wonderful. Thank you.
That's a great idea, Martha. Thank you so much.
Okay, any further discussion? All right, hearing none, I will go to a roll call vote. Noemi,
Yes.
Live me.
Pat,
Yes.
Maria,
Yes.
Mayor DePena,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. So the motion passes, and Superintendent, we now, turn to you to execute just on the messaging, to families, and I can work with you on that. And again, I will end in a second, but just want to reiterate that this is done maybe out of an abundance of caution to make sure that we have time to really review, implications of this for the school specifically. This is in no way meant to try to implicitly or explicitly contradict the city. I personally completely understand and agree with the city's decision, but just want to make sure that we have a little bit of time to make sure other stakeholders also weigh in, because we have heard that feedback that people want that opportunity. So thank you for that. Having no other business, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second, I make a motion for again.
Okay, do we have a
Second.
second on that? Great,
Second.
thank you. It's been made and seconded. So roll call vote. Noemi,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
Maria,
Yes.
Mayor DePena.
Yes, and I see in my second meeting, not my first.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
And the chair votes yes. So we'll see everyone next week. And again, really appreciate, we'll forward invites, the city being there. We just can't tell you how much we appreciate the close relationship we already have with the schools in the city, and just in this kind of really key important issue, just that ongoing communication and partnership is really, really appreciated. So thank you. And thank you all. And again, we will notice this hopefully as soon as later today. The meeting of the LAE is next Wednesday, the 9th of March, 6 p.m. South Lawrence East. And we will also make sure that in that notice, there is the email address if you'd like to submit written testimony in advance. Also how to connect with LAE members, and then also just reiterating that you can come in person and deliver public testimony there as well. So thank you so much. I now am bringing to a close this emergency session of the Lawrence Alliance for Education. Thank you so much.